In 2016, a neuroscientist named Kent Berridge put a lever in front of a rat. Pressing it delivered no food, no water, no reward at all, just a jolt of effort. And the rat kept pressing. That rat should have quit. Every law of comfort says it should have curled up and rested. Instead, its brain lit up in the exact region that fires when we crave a drug. Effort, it turned out, could feel like a reward. Now hold that thought. Because right now, your brain is doing the opposite. It is running a quiet program older than language that whispers one command all day long. Choose the easier thing. Take the shorter line. Skip the hard conversation. Scroll instead of think. It feels like relief. It feels like being smart. But that whisper is not protecting you. It is slowly wiring you into a person you never agreed to become. There is a name for this hidden program. And once you see how it works, you will never trust the word comfortable again. Here is the question we are going to put under the microscope. Why does the human brain, the most powerful problem solver on Earth, spend most of its energy trying to avoid problems? Think about that. You were built to hunt, to climb, to solve. And yet, the modern version of you feels genuine pain at the thought of a cold shower, a difficult call, a blank page. That is not weakness. That is design. Your brain runs on a simple rule. Spend as little energy as possible. In a world of scarcity, that rule kept your ancestors alive. Calories were rare. Rest was survival. The lazy caveman who conserved energy lived to reproduce. But that same rule, dropped into a world of endless food, endless screens, endless shortcuts, becomes a slow poison. The mechanism that saved your ancestors is now the mechanism killing your potential. Same code, opposite result. So the real question is not, how do I become more disciplined? It is darker than that. Why does difficulty feel like a threat when it is actually the only thing that makes you grow? And can that wiring be reversed? To answer that, we have to go back to the world your brain still thinks it lives in, a world that vanished but never left your nervous system. Go back 200,000 years. Your ancestor wakes up hungry. Every action costs something that cannot be wasted. Energy. Walk too far for water, you might die. Fight when you could flee, you might die. So the brain built a filter. Before any action, it asks one silent question. Is this worth the calories? This is where it gets precise. Scientists call it the law of less work, as early as 1932, a psychologist named Clark Hull showed that animals and humans will always drift toward the path that costs the least effort. Not sometimes, reliably. For a hunter-gatherer, this was genius. Conserve energy, avoid pointless risk, rest whenever you safely can. But notice the trap being set. Back then, hard things were unavoidable. Comfort had to be earned, so it was rare, and the drive to seek it was harmless. Now flip it. Today, comfort is infinite. The couch, the delivery app, the feed that never ends. Your ancient energy-saving program is still running, but nothing is stopping it anymore. The same instinct that once found you water now keeps you frozen on a sofa, choosing the video over the goal. And somewhere in that shift, something cracked. A small signal your brain sends every single day, one you have felt 1,000 times without ever recognizing it for what it truly is. There is a moment. It lasts less than a second, and it happens dozens of times a day. You are about to do the hard thing. Open the document, lace the shoes, start the conversation, and then you feel it. A tiny pull. a flinch. A soft, invisible, not right now. That flinch has a name. Neuroscientists call it the cost signal. Before you consciously decide anything, a region deep in your brain, the anterior cingulate cortex, calculates how much effort an action will take, and it delivers that calculation as a feeling. Not a thought, a feeling. A faint discomfort, like friction, that arrives the instant something looks hard. Here is what almost no one understands. That feeling is not information about the task. It is information about the effort. Your brain is not telling you the thing is bad. It is telling you the thing is expensive. But you can't tell the difference. To you, they feel identical. This is hard and this is wrong arrive wearing the same mask. So you retreat, you pick up the phone, and the instant you do, the friction dissolves. Relief floods in. Your brain logs a lesson. Avoiding the hard thing feels good. Do it again. That is the loop. 1,000 times a day, you are being quietly trained, rewarded, conditioned to flinch away from the exact things that would build you. And every retreat is a vote for the person who avoids. Cast often enough, that vote becomes an election, and the version of you that wins is the one that never tried. But if the signal can train you toward weakness, a stranger discovery is buried underneath it, because that same circuitry, under the right conditions, can be turned completely inside out. Remember the rat that kept pressing the lever for nothing? Here is what Berridge actually found. In certain conditions, the brain stops treating effort as a cost and starts treating it as a reward. The same dopamine system that fires for food, for sex, for a drug, can be retrained to fire for the effort itself. Let that sink in. The flinch can be reversed. The thing that felt expensive can start to feel valuable. But it doesn't happen by wishing. It happens through a specific mechanism. Every time you push through the cost signal instead of obeying it, and then something good follows, your brain updates. It quietly retags that effort. Less threat, more reward. Scientists have a name for people in whom this reversal runs strong. They call it learned industriousness. Effort becomes its own drug. The hard thing stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like appetite. This is why some people seem to crave the cold water, the heavy weight, the blank page. They are not superhuman. They simply ran the loop in the other direction enough times until their brain rewrote the code, which means the wiring that traps you is not permanent. It is a habit of interpretation, and habits, unlike instincts, can be broken. The rat had no choice about which direction it was trained. You do. But there is a catch. This reversal has a precise entry point, a narrow window, where the brain is most willing to change its mind. Miss it, and you stay trapped. Find it, and everything shifts. That window is where we go next. The cost signal has a weakness. It is loud, but it is slow to reload. Here is what researchers noticed about that flinch. It spikes hardest in the seconds before an action, not during, before. The anticipation of effort is almost always worse than the effort itself. Your brain is bluffing, and it plays its biggest card early, which means there is a window, a narrow gap, roughly the first 20 seconds, where the signal is screaming and your resistance is highest. Push through that gap, and something strange happens. The friction drops. Not slowly, it collapses. Ask any runner. The worst step is not the 5th mile. It is the front door. Ask any writer. The hardest word is not the 1,000th. It is the first. The pain lives at the threshold and almost nowhere else, so the entire game shrinks. You do not need discipline for the whole task. You need it for 20 seconds. Just long enough to cross the line where anticipation ends and action begins. Scientists studying habit formation call this the activation energy, the initial cost required to start any behavior. Lower that cost, and everything downstream gets easier. This is why the smallest possible first step is not weakness. It is strategy. Put on one shoe, write one ugly sentence, open the file, and do nothing else. Because the moment you begin, you rob the cost signal of its only weapon. It could threaten you with imagined effort. It cannot argue with effort already underway. But knowing where the window is means nothing if the enemy inside you is smarter than you think. And it is. Because your brain has a second defense, one that doesn't fight you at the door. It convinces you never to walk toward it at all. The flinch is the crude version. When the cost signal fails to stop you at the door, your brain deploys something far more elegant. It gives you a reason, not an excuse. You would recognize an excuse. It gives you a reason that sounds wise. I'll do it when I'm fresh. I need to plan first. Now isn't the right time. I work better under pressure. Each one true enough to believe. Each one arriving at exactly the moment the hard thing appears. Psychologists call this rationalization, and here is the disturbing part. The decision to avoid comes first. The reason comes after. Your brain chooses the retreat in a fraction of a second, then hands your conscious mind a story to explain it. And you accept the story, because it wears your own voice. This is why the most dangerous avoidance never feels like avoidance. It feels like discernment. You reorganize your desk instead of writing. You research the workout instead of doing it. You call it preparation. Your brain calls it a win, another retreat, safely disguised. The productive-looking task is the perfect hiding place, because you can point to it and say, look, I did something, but motion is not progress, and busy is the most respectable form of hiding ever invented. So the test is brutal but simple. When you feel that reasonable voice offering you a perfectly sensible reason to delay the one thing that matters, ask it a single question. Would I accept this reason if the task were easy? If the answer is no, you have found the mask, and underneath it, the same old flinch, which leaves one question standing over everything we've uncovered. If the signal lies, if the reasons are fake, if the window is only seconds wide, then what does it actually take to win? Not once, but for a lifetime. We opened with a rat pressing a lever, trained by forces it never saw. And the uncomfortable truth is that you are being trained too, every hour, by every choice. But now you know the mechanism. The cost signal is not the truth. It is a bluff from an ancient brain that thinks you are still starving on a savanna. The friction is not a warning. It is a price tag. And the reasons your mind offers to avoid the hard thing are often stories written after the retreat, not before. None of this makes you weak. It makes you human. The wiring is universal. What differs is only this: which direction you run the loop. Because here is the thing no one tells you. Are not building habits. You are casting votes. Every time you push through the window, you vote for the person who does hard things. Every time you obey the flinch, you vote for the person who doesn't. No single vote decides the election, but they are always being counted. And the version of you that wins is not the one who felt the most motivation. Motivation is just a feeling, and feelings are the least reliable thing you own. The winner is the one who acted while the signal screamed, who crossed the threshold before the reasons arrived, who understood that the flinch would always come and chose to move anyway. The rat never knew it was in an experiment. You do. And that awareness is the one advantage evolution never planned for. The ability to see the program running and override it. So the next time you feel that soft, invisible, "not right now," recognize it for what it is. Not wisdom, not truth. Just an old circuit doing its oldest job. And in that half second of recognition, you will hold something the rat never had. A choice. The lever is in front of you. It always has been. The only question left is the one you'll answer with your next 20 seconds. Here is what no one tells you about the moment of decision. It is short. Absurdly short. Shorter than the story you're telling yourself right now about how you'll handle it later. The window opens, the signal fires, and you have roughly 20 seconds before your brain finishes building the case against you. 20 seconds before the reasonable voice arrives with its clipboard and its excuses that sound like wisdom. That is the entire war. Not the hour of work, not the years of discipline, just 20 seconds, over and over, for the rest of your life. Win them, and the work does itself. Lose them, and no amount of motivation will save you, because motivation was never coming. You will not feel ready. You will not feel like it. That feeling is not a gate you wait to open. It is the enemy you walk straight through. And when you understand that, one final truth reveals itself, the one that changes how you see every moment you have left. Somewhere ahead of you, there is a person who has to live inside every choice you're making right. Now, they wake up in the body you're building. They carry the discipline you practiced or the debt you deferred. They inherit the work you did at 6 a.m. when the bed was warm and the signal screamed. Or they inherit the silence, where that work should have been. You will never meet them, but they are real. And every 20-second war you fight is a letter you're mailing to them. A letter they cannot answer, only open. So the question was never really about the shoe, or the document, or the workout. The question was always, who are you leaving on the other side of this moment? Because you are becoming them. One small refusal, or one small victory, at a time. And that leaves only the darkness at the center of all of this, the part that should keep you awake. So here is the thought I'll leave you with, the one that should follow you out of this room. The rat pressed the lever because it never knew it had a choice. You have no such excuse. You've seen the wiring now. You've watched the program run, and knowing changes everything. Because from this second forward, every retreat is a decision you made with your eyes open. That is the weight of awareness. It doesn't set you free. It makes you responsible. The lever is still in front of you. It always was. And the flinch is already whispering its soft, reasonable, "not right now." So let me ask you honestly in the comments below, the last time you felt that flinch, that invisible pull to retreat, what did it cost you? And what would you have done differently if you'd seen it for what it was? Think about it. Then decide who you're mailing that letter to. If you're the kind of person who hunts the truths most people spend their whole lives avoiding, then follow. The next story goes deeper into the machine And once you see it, you can't unsee it.